So I see you guys have brought a lot of your traditional models, but you also have a couple of new releases out here. Do you want to quickly talk about the new watch that you have, or maybe on your wrist?
We do, yeah. So I've got the Tumbler on my wrists. So this is our first piece that's rebranded with our new logo.
So the Swiss watch company was kind enough to send me home with one of their review units of this Tumbler. And if you're familiar with the brand at all, the case design very much resembles their field watch, the Bunker, but with some subtle refinements, including some nice finishing accents where they did high polish to the bezel, to the bevel lines of the case, and then through the center links of this excellent OEM titanium bracelet. So the watch itself is done with grade 2 titanium, and it's hardened using a DLC treatment up to 1200 Vickers. So this watch is very scratch resistant, lightweight, and hyperallergenic due to the titanium material being used. I'll also mention that this current watch is currently on sale at a pre-order price of $650 US until the end of October. And I apologize if this video is getting out very late in the game, but after that time frame, it's going to increase to $750 US. But even at full retail, I do think that this watch presents a good value for what's being offered here. With respect to case dimensions, it is a 41mm case diameter. Flipping the watch to the side here, lug-to-lug distance between my thumbs is 47.2 millimeters. In terms of overall thickness, it's only 10.7 millimeters thick from the bottom of that screwed down case back and then to the top of a flat sapphire crystal, which carries 16 layers of anti-reflective treatment. And I think SWC is class leading when it comes to clarity of their crystals. As you can see, any way I move it around my studio lights here, you still get excellent legibility. They also blow away the competition with respect to lume application. I'll go back to that in a minute. But I also mention that between the lugs is a broad 22mm lug spacing, and then the OEM titanium bracelet does taper slightly down to about 20mm before you hit the SWC signed clasp, which actually harkens back to their old logo, where you see a Swiss cross surrounded by a sphere and some other markers. Whereas if you quickly flip back to the dial side, this one utilizes their rebranded logo, and it's definitely more subtle. It's a very nicely applied Swiss cross. But getting back to the bracelet very quickly, excellent articulation. You can see individual links are held in place with slot screws, and you do get half links for sizing. Because the clasp is actually quite truncated, there's only 2 micro adjustment anchoring points, but I will say it does keep the whole package very compact and comfortable on your wrist. And here's an in-studio wrist shot, just to show you how this timepiece wears on a 7.5-inch wrist size. That's 19 centimeters in circumference if you use the metric system. And it still has some nice wrist presence because it's a lot of dial real estate and some high polished accents. And because it is titanium, it only weighs in at a 106 grams sized up for my wrist, which is very, very comfortable. Now, if we talk about this dial design, it's more of a sector dial as opposed to a traditional field watch, which you would find on the Bunker. Again, I really like that silver applied cross logo just below the 12 o'clock position. You can see that the inner ring of a sector dial has a nice gradient or sandy texture to it. And then it's separated by this polished sapphire ring before you get to the external dial, where you have your traditional Arabic markings at the cardinal 12, 3, 6, and 9 o'clock position. And then you have simple batons for the remaining hour markers, with a very nice sword-style handset, which is diamond cut and rhodium finished. So very good legibility with this particular timepiece. And a lot of that also goes into their lume application, which again, I think is class leading for most micro brands. They're applying 20 layers of X1 grade Swiss Superluminova to the hour markers and the handset itself. And then another innovative feature is for this sapphire ring, it's also loomed up and the lume was applied to both sides of a dial, which I've never really seen before, but a very potent lume, and I'll throw up a low light shot just to show you exactly what I'm talking about. Now powering this watch is a Swiss Sellita SW200-1 in Elaborate grade. SWC also regulates these movements, so it keeps very good time, ticking away at 4 Hz with about a 38-hour power reserve and hacking and hand winding. All this is done via the crown if you want to operate the movement and set the time. You can see that their crown uses their old branding, but their production units might differ. It's about a 5.9 millimeter crown size, and it's knurled very well, screwed down to aid in 100 meters of water resistance. If I was going to be nitpicky, I would like to see an oversized crown on at least one of their models in the future. But because this is a very thin case, I do think it matches the proportions and the silhouette of this timepiece overall. The only other potential point for improvement I can see is perhaps with the clasp on this particular model. While it is low in profile, it would be nice to see a few more micro adjustment anchoring positions. And I will say too, at least for this review unit, that just closing up the clasp takes a little bit more force than I'm used to, but I'm sure they're going to sort out the tolerances for the clasp with their production units. So that's going to wrap up my review of the SWC Tumbler. Overall, I think it's an excellent offering from this particular brand that offers some really nice refinements compared to other titanium field style watches you're going to find on the market. And of course, if you do have questions or thoughts about this watch, please leave them in the comment section of this video. I am returning this watch to them after this video concludes, and I can't wait to catch you guys in the next video.